Once upon a time, in the faraway kingdom of Aurelion, where snow fell as softly as a whisper, there lived a girl named Elara. She had eyes as blue as an ice lake and hands so deft she could tie a knot in the dark. She painted beautifully, played music sweetly, and warmed every heart she spoke to. People in town would say she was born with every gift. But Elara had a secret few knew. She was very good at putting things off. When her mother reminded her, "Finish the commissioned painting," Elara smiled after tea. When her music master warned, "The festival audition is tomorrow," Elara answered, "I'll practice after sunset." And when friends invited her out, she said she'd rest just for a moment, and somehow the whole day slipped away. That year, the Aurelion castle hosted the Festival of Lights, where every citizen could showcase one creation. Elara signed up for 2 painting and music because she worked fast. On the final night, her canvas remained blank and her song unfinished. She stayed up till dawn, hands shaking, mind tangled. At sunrise, the canvas was hurriedly covered with ribbon and her performance stumbled off key. Friends drifted away. The master sighed. Her mother folded a cloth in silence. Silence, colder than snow. Elara stared at her ink-stained hands and whispered, "What have I done with my own time?" In town lived an elderly foreigner named Mira, a famed clockmaker. A wooden sign above her shop read in a strange tongue, "Tempus non redit," time does not return. Elara came to her. Mira set a peculiar hourglass on the table, no markings, no lid. The sand streamed like mist. "What do you see?" Mira asked. "An hourglass that can't be stopped," Elara said. "Yes, and there is something that hurries faster than sand opportunity." Mira told an old tale from Valden. A young king, brilliant by nature, passed the scholar's trials in a single season. Crowned at last, he began to love long naps. Decrees were signed tomorrow. Councils moved to tomorrow. The people's pleas set aside for tomorrow. Tomorrow stacked upon tomorrow, until fields cracked and people fled. When the king finally woke, the realm lay like grass after wildfire, not because he was foolish, but because he did not respect time. Elara sat in silence. "You ask if it's fine to do it later?" Mira's voice was gentle and firm. "No. River water that has passed never returns to the same bank." She handed Elara the hourglass. "If you want to change, take this into the clockwood. At the forest's heart stands the moon glass tower. Climb it before the sand runs out, and you will meet the one you need." Elara held the hourglass and entered the clockwood. Tree trunks rose like giant copper shafts. Leaves fell in circles. The wind ticked like a watch. At the center, the moon glass tower rose, pale as a winter moon. Elara flipped the hourglass. The sand began to flow. First chamber, the hall of hollow mirrors. Shining mirrors showed delightful scenes. Elara by a fireside watching plays, sipping tea, chatting every little treat. Each time she paused to look, the sand sped up. Startled, Elara covered the mirrors with a cloth and said, "Joy will come at an hour with a name." The sand returned to its steady rhythm. Second chamber, the room of voices. A chorus called out, "Elara, paint this for me first. Join our new band. Help us, please." She remembered how the festival had failed because she tried to hold everything at once. Elara placed a hand over her heart and answered each voice. "Later, after my painting hour is complete. Later, after my music hour is whole." The voices receded like a retreating tide. Third chamber, the chamber of sleeping hands. At the center stood a white bed. Above it hung a sign, "Rest a little while." Elara's shoulders ached. Stone weighed on her eyes. She nearly lay down, then saw her mother, her master, the broken festival morning. She drew a tiny dot on the hourglass and whispered, "When this dot reaches halfway, I will rest. For now forward." She stepped past the bed. The sand slowed, as if the world nodded. At the tower's highest window, a door opened. A silver-haired man in a gray robe waited the tower keeper, guardian of Aurelion's time. "You are just in time," he said, glancing at the hourglass's thin ribbon of sand. "I once believed talent was enough," Elara confessed, "but all I found was lateness." The keeper smiled kindly. "Talent is a pair of wings. Discipline is the sky. Without the sky, wings are only ornaments." He gave Elara 3 small things. A ribbon to tie her sleeve to remember. When she begins a task, bind herself wholly to it. A tiny stone engraved with "now" to place on her table whenever she works. A brass tag etched with 3 lines. "When an hour has a name, the work has a home. Do not accept more until you finish what you have accepted. Rest also on time, for aimless rest steals from tomorrow." "You will never stop the sand," he said, "but you can build homes for every grain that passes." Elara returned at first light. She hung the hourglass by the window, placed the "now" stone on her desk, and tied the ribbon to her sleeve. From that day, her cottage kept hours with names. The silent hour, scales and exercises, not a single beat skipped. The color hour, the brush runs to the end of the canvas, unbroken. The shuttered mirror hour, all hollow mirrors, tea chatter trifles are covered. The true rest hour, rest to renew, not to flee. At first, the unseen mirrors still beckoned. The white bed still called her name. But each time, the ribbon tugged at her sleeve, the stone weighed down the page, and the tag whispered, "When an hour has a name, the work has a home." A year played by like a bright melody. The festival of lights returned. This time Elara entered 1 painting and 1 piece of music, both complete. Her painting showed a night forest, the moon-glass tower standing still, tiny grains of sand splitting into beams of light. Her music began slowly, then rose into a sure, steady rhythm of the footsteps of someone who knows where she is going. When the velvet curtain fell, the hall stood to its feet. Her mother wept softly. Her master smiled, the old man's eyes gleaming like a lake. At the back, Mira gave a small nod, the nod reserved for those who have learned to respect time. Years later, Elara became a painter-musician, invited across distant lands. In her travel bag, she always carried the hourglass, the ribbon, and the stone. Each morning she wrote 3 lines. "What is today's most important hour? Who depends on me being on time? What will I say no to protect that hour?" People praised her gifts. She only smiled. Talent brings you to the door. Discipline opens the road. If you live among hollow mirrors and a bed that whispers, "Just a little while," remember, the sand will not wait. Don't lean on talent. Give each hour a name, keep your promises to yourself, and let every grain of sand passing through your hands find a home. For when you respect time, time will build you up. Do not rely on talent. Stop wasting time and abandon laziness before it's too late.